Our second speaker this morning is Bert Copeland. Bert is going to present what he calls a free range speech. A free range speech. Curious about that. The Dark Tower by Stephen King is the main focus of his story. Even though it is Halloween season, he says, he guarantees the speech is not scary, or is it? Timekeeper, he needs 5 to 7 minutes. Please join me in welcoming Bert Copeland.
How many of you have a favorable opinion of Stephen King? I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with him, but I kept hearing about this series of books he wrote called the Dark Tower series. I stuck my finger in the water. I bought one. It was one of those series that it took Stephen King 22 years to get it published, but he worked on it longer than that. There's 8 volumes and 4,200 pages. And ladies, they even made a movie with Idris Elba, which really murdered the book. But there's one thing in this book that got my attention. Now, the main character in this book was a character called Roland Duchesne. Roland was what they call a gunslinger in his universe. And the gunslinger was on a quest to go to the Dark Tower. In a lot of aspects, I found myself like Roland. I was obsessed with getting to my goal. And sometimes I didn't treat people quite right. And as I got more and more into the series, it just hooked me, and I'd spend all night reading this book. One thing you may remember from the book, I do, or you may even remember from the movie, is a phrase that he said. He pulled out his gun and he said, "When I aim with my hand, I have forgotten the face of my father. When I aim with my head, I have forgotten the face of my father. When I aim with my heart, I have remembered my father." How much like me? How many times have I done something to somebody and forgotten the face of my father? Maybe some of you have done that too. On and on through this book, we see the good and the bad of Roland and the people that he comes across. This is not really one genre. It's a horror, it's a Western, it's a dark fantasy, it's any number of things. But like anything you read, it's what you make it. And what I made of this book was, like in the movie The Lion King, when Rivergte said to Simba, "Do you know who you are?" The answer was, he was a child of the king. And when I aim with my arm, with my hand, I miss the important part. I've forgotten who my father was. And when I aim with my head, I have forgotten who my father was. But when I aim with my heart, I have remembered who my father was. How fitting in these days ahead that Edith should come to me and say, "We need a speaker." This speech has been rumbling around in my head. And the serendipity of it all is yet to be disclosed. The Simba quote came to me a day after I committed to this speech. We are coming upon something now for the next couple of months that I would call you to action. And this is a hard one. I want you to turn off all the social media, all the TV, and turn off all that negative stuff. Because when you look at that, you have forgotten the face of your father. You have forgotten who your father is. And just to examine the point that you all were meant to hear this today, when I opened up the daily study from A Course in Miracles, it was titled, My True Identity Abides in You. Lesson 283. Now are we one in shared identity with God our Father as our only source and everything created part of it. And so we offer blessings to all things, uniting lovingly with all the world, which our forgiveness has made one with us. And so it is.